Cao Cao heard that Sima Yi had a langu appearance. This is an archaic term that refers to a wolf turning its head to look behind. It describes a person who constantly feels suspicious and insecure. Sima Yi was known for appearing to be generous and magnanimous, while actually being distrustful and jealous. His prosperous political career underway garnered him great prestige for his clan. He successfully handled domestic and military affairs. His governance style promoted agriculture, and he was an exceptional advisor. He repelled invasions from both the rival states of Shou and Wu, suppressed internal rebellion swiftly, and conquered the Gongsun-led Liao-tung commandery. Most famously, he defended the Wei borders from Zhuge Liang's northern campaigns, then eventually rose to the rank of co-regent along with Cao Xuanling. In light of Cao's corruption and attempts to curtail Sima Yi's political influence, he carefully planned and built up support before ousting the Cao clan in a coup d'etat. For the remainder of Wei's history, state power was in the hands of the Sima clan, which eventually led to the establishment of the Jin dynasty by Sima Yi's grandson. After the fall of the Jin dynasty, the belief that Wei was the rightful successor to the Han dynasty began to slowly shift towards the view that Shou may have had greater legitimacy. Before this, Sima Yi was seen as a righteous figure and was practically deified. After the fall of Western Jin in 316, people start to view him in a more critical manner. The burial soil was not quite settled, and yet Sima Yi quickly executed them. How can this be a virtuous minister's conduct? One can do good deeds for 3 full years, and yet few will know of it, but a single day's evil will be known by all under heaven. You might as well be the man who covers his ears when he steals the bell, thinking no one else can hear it. The Sima surname is one of the rare 2-character family names. It's an occupational surname, literally meaning control horses. The clan originated from one of the 3 excellencies within the ancient offices of the Zhou dynasty, which lasted 789 years, from 1046 until 771 BC. The Sima clan are said to be descendants of the mythological emperor Gao Yang and his son Zhu Rong, the god of fire in the south. One of Zhu Rong's descendants was awarded high status by the king of Zhou, whereafter he adopted the Sima name, as officials during the Zhou dynasty were collectively known as Xiaguan Sima. Through the years, the clan migrated to other states, where the 5th-generation descendant Sima Tan was a famous court astrologer. His son, Sima Xian, was the author of the monumentally important Records of the Grand Historian. Generations went by until Sima Ang declared himself the king of a separate kingdom in Hainei, which was eventually turned into a commandery during the Han dynasty period. 8 more generations passed until Sima Jun was born, the great-great-grandfather of Sima Yi. The clan continued to hold high positions throughout the years, until Sima Yi's father, Sima Fang, rose to serve as the prefect of Luoyang. Sima Fang and his family used to live in the Imperial capital, where he had 8 sons: Sima Lang, Sima Yi, Sima Fu, Sima Kui, Sima Shun, Jin, Tong, and Min. The 8 Sima brothers were collectively known as the 8 Das, because their courtesy names all ended with Da. Sima Fang was serious and solemn throughout his life, humorless even in informal settings such as banquets. He kept a very low profile by avoiding to interact with his colleagues outside of the workplace. He was strict and stern towards his sons even after they grew up to become adults. In his presence, they did not dare to move, sit or speak without asking for permission first. Sima Yi was born in the year 179 and raised in a strict Confucian manner. He was not allowed to visit his father unless summoned, to speak to him without being addressed first, nor was he allowed to be seated in the same room as his father. He displayed intelligence and great ambitions at a young age, and became knowledgeable and well versed in the Confucian classics. When chaos started to break out towards the end of the Han dynasty, Sima Yi often expressed sympathy and concern for the people. The commandery administrator Yang Jun, who had a gift for spotting exceptional people, described Sima Yi as an extraordinary talent. Sima Lang's friend, Sui Yan, would come to visit from time to time and once said, "Sima Yi is intelligent, decisive, and unique. Sima Lang could not be compared to him." In the year 190, Dongzhuo dominated the Han central government and wanted to move the capital from Luoyang to Chang'an. Sima Fang foresaw the danger and decided to move his family back to their ancestral home in Wen County in Hainei Commandery. Whilst he was still serving as an assistant official in the Han court, he recommended Cao Cao to serve as the commandant of the North District. Sima Fang ordered his first son Sima Lang to bring the family out of Luoyang back home. Some months went by until Sima Fang recognized the chaos was spreading out further. They decided to seek shelter with Sima Lang's kinsman Zhao Wei-sun in Liang Commandery. After 4 years of reasonable safety in Liang, war broke out between Cao Cao and Lu Bu. The family relocated once more, back to their now ravaged ancestral home in Wen County. The brothers largely sustained themselves by living as farmers and fending off local groups of bandits while studying diligently during their free time. 7 years later, in 201, the administrative centre in Hainan nominated Sima Yi to serve in the local office. The next year, he became a reporting officer. Heads of commandery units and provinces were required to present documents to the court each new year. The local officer sent to do so was known as a reporting officer. Around this time, Sima Yi also married the granddaughter of one of the 7 sages of the Bamboo Grove, Shan Dao. The marriage of Zhang Chunhua, who was already known for her good moral conduct, intelligence and wisdom, may have been instigated by Sima Fang. When Cao Cao was still the Minister of Works before 208, he tried to recruit Sima Yi, who declined, presumably on the grounds of illness. The Book of Jin elaborates on this, claiming that Sima Yi saw the empire's future was bleak, so declined, by lying saying that he suffered from paralysis. He stayed at home, where Cao Cao's spies reported that they saw Sima Yi lying motionless in bed. One day, when Sima Yi was letting the ink of his writings dry in the sun, there was a sudden downpour of rain. He rushed out to grab his books, but was seen by a maid. Zhang Chunhua feared that it would leak that Sima Yi was healthy, so she killed the maid to silence her, in order to keep her family from getting into trouble. When Cao Cao became the Imperial Chancellor in 208, he sent an official to recruit Sima Yi, who warned that if he declined or dawdled, he'd have no choice but to arrest him. Sima Yi had his firstborn son Sima Shi this year, became afraid, and accepted the appointment. He initially served as an attendant to the Crown Prince. This Crown Prince was not Cao Pi, but an unnamed son of the figurehead Emperor Xian. Sima Yi was reassigned to 4 different positions before becoming a registrar in the Imperial Chancellor's office. Sima Zhao was born in the year 211, then 4 years later, Sima Yi gave advice to Cao Cao which was not listened to. After the successful campaign to capture Hanzhong from Zhang Lu, Sima urged his lord to ride the wave of momentum into Yi province. Because Liu Bei had only recently seized it, he still needed to establish a foothold so could easily be defeated. Cao Cao said he was already content with having Liang province, so turned his attention towards the other key rival state of Wu. Cao Cao went to receive an emissary from Sun Quan, who wanted to make peace, but also urged him to seize the Han throne for himself. "This rascal wants me to put myself on top of a fire." Sima Yi told him, "The Han dynasty is in decline. You control 9/10 of the empire and are in a position to take the throne. Sun Quan's submission is the will of the heaven." Despite being advised to, Cao Cao did not usurp the throne and remained a subject of the Han until his death. The next year, in 216, Cao Cao was promoted from a duke to the vassal king of Wei. He joked of Sima Fang, "Do you think the Cao Cao of today could still be the commandant of the North District?" Fang replied, "When I recommended your highness to assume that position, I knew you were capable of performing your duties well." Sima Yi was assigned to be an advisor to Cao Pi, who highly regarded and respected his brilliance. He worked well with the other close aides, Chen Shun, Wu Ji, and Zhu Shuo, where they became known as Cao Pi's 4 friends. Animosity rose between Cao Pi and Cao Ji, who engaged in a power struggle to become Cao Cao's heir apparent. It's believed that Sima Yi secretly backed Cao Pi and helped him secure the position. Cao Ji was an impetuous man with little self-discipline and a heavy drinker. His elder brother Cao Pi knew how to act in the right times and enjoyed a much closer relationship with his father's subjects, earning himself their favour. They spoke well of him, so Cao Pi was eventually picked to be the heir apparent in the year 216. This further aggravated Cao Ji's already eccentric behaviour. He once rode his chariot along the road reserved only for the emperor, which led through the front gate of the palace. This infuriated Cao Cao, who had to have the chariot driver executed. Leading up to the Battle of Fancheng, and having now chosen a successor, Cao Cao took measures to undermine the other contestants. He executed Yang Xiu, the chief advisor to Cao Ji, which greatly unsettled his son, but still failed to jolt him back to his senses. In fact, he plunged further into his drinking habits. Sima Yi warned that Hu Xiu and Fu Fang were violent, arrogant, and that neither should be entrusted with the great responsibility of guarding the border at Jing province. Cao Cao ignored his advice, but in 219, Cao Ren became besieged by Guan Yu and Fan Cheng. As predicted, Hu Xiu and Fu Fang defected to Guan Yu's side, whilst Ye Jin's reinforcements were obliterated in a flood, putting Cao Ren in a more perilous situation. Cao Cao named Taoji to lead a relief force on a rescue mission in the hopes that this task would instill a sense of responsibility into him. He was so drunk that he was not even able to come forth to accept the order. Cao then gave up on this son altogether. Sima Yi said, Ye Jin's defeat was not due to flaws in our defences, nor would it significantly benefit us by moving the capital to Heinei. Instead, it would actually be displaying weakness to the enemy. It would, however, cause panic to the regions around the Hua and Mian rivers, so Sima Yi instead advised his lord to incite Sun Quan to attack Liu Bei, as their alliance was weakened by distrust. This led to Lu Meng's takeover of Jing province. Sima Yi also advised his lord not to relocate the residents from Jing as the region was unstable. The people are easy to move, but difficult to pacify. As Guan Yu has recently been defeated, bad people will go into hiding. If we move the good people, we might cause the ones left behind to feel distressed and unwilling to return to our side. This advice was listened to, and so the people affected by the Battle of Fan Cheng reverted to their original livelihoods after the battle. Cao Cao passed away at Luoyang in 220, but there was much apprehension in the Imperial court. One of the first things Cao Pi did was do away with the supporters of Taoji. Sima Yi was also partly responsible for Taoji's demotion and removal from politics. Cao Pi banished his brother to a country estate where he was prohibited from taking part in central political issues altogether. Sima Yi supervised the funeral arrangements to ensure everything was carried out in an orderly fashion. He may have placed the responsibility of the funeral on his younger brother Sima Fu, who said, "Now the king is dead, we ought to pay our respects to his successor as early as possible for the stabilization of the empire. Must we indulge in weeping only?" He then dismissed all the officials from court, appointed palace guards, and attended the business of the funeral. Sima Yi accompanied the funeral carriage to Yi, earning the respect of the officials inside and outside of the central government. When Cao Pi succeeded his father as the King of Wei and Imperial Chancellor of the Han, he enfiefed Sima Yi as the Marquis of Heijin Ting and appointed him as his chief clerk. Cao Ren had recently relocated from Fancheng to Wan to garrison his troops there. When Sun Quan sent Chen Shou to attack Xiangyang, Cao Pi ordered Cao Ren to lead an army to defend the city. Some officials rejected the idea of resisting Sun Quan with so many men, because Fancheng and Xiangyang both lacked food supplies. Sima Yi said, Sun Quan will be thinking of defending his new territories rather than attacking, so he definitely will not pose a threat. Xiangyang's land and water routes are crucial to its defences from incoming attacks, so we will not lose the city. Cao Pi ignored Sima Yi's advice, which led to Cao Ren and Xu Huang defeating Chen Shou before entering Xiangyang. As Sima Yi predicted, Sun Quan did not attack them with a major force after Cao Ren gave up on defending Xiangyang and Fancheng, so Cao Pi regretted not listening to him. Throughout the 220s, many officials urged Cao Pi to ascend and take the throne. Sima Yi served as one of the leading officials in court who pushed for this idea. When Cao Pi eventually ended the Han dynasty towards the end of the year, Sima Yi was promoted to a Master of Writing, but later reassigned as an army inspector. Sima Yi followed his new emperor to inspect Wan City, either because it was not meeting its economic targets, or because it failed to produce a medicine which Cao Pi was searching for. The governor of Nanyang, Yang Jun, was on good terms with Sima Yi, as they knew each other from childhood, but Yang Jun was arrested when he admitted he was at fault. Sima Yi considered him very capable and intelligent, so pleaded with Cao Pi on his behalf, so much that he banged his head on the floor repeatedly until it bled. Cao Pi remained unmoved, so dismissed the appeal, which led to Yang Jun committing suicide. Sima Yi was greatly saddened by such a loss as a childhood friend. Cao Pi toured his southern border in 224 to inspect his troops on the front line, while Sima Yi remained behind to manage Xu Chang. He gained a greater Marquis title, whilst also being appointed 3 separate positions, but he initially refused to accept any of them. Cao Pi told him, "I'm so busy with state affairs that I've been working through both day and night, and have hardly a moment for rest. When I entrust you with these titles, I'm not commending you, but rather I need you to help me share my burden." When Cao Pi led his armies to attack Sun Quan in 226, he left Sima Yi behind to defend and govern in his absence. He provided reinforcements and supplies for his lord's armies whilst he was away on the campaigns. Before he left, Cao issued a decree. I am deeply concerned about what happens after I die, which is why I entrust this responsibility to you. Can I be free of the worries I have about Shou in the west? When Cao Pi returned, he told Sima Yi, when I am in the east, you will be in charge of the west, and when I am in the west, you will be in charge of the east. Sima Yi in turn warned his lord about the former Shu general Meng Da's untruthfulness, but Cao Pi took little notice. When Cao Pi became critically ill in 226, he summoned Sima Yi, Tongjian, Chen, and possibly even Tao Xu to meet him in the south hall of the Chonghua Palace. He ordered them all to assist his son Cao Rui after his death, and also told his son, there may be those who would alienate these ducal ministers from you, but be careful and do not doubt them. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.